This week, coming up from the ashes.
I just seen this like yesterday, like in one of those clips, and it was basically talking about how they stayed drunk for most of the time they shot their parts. Like,
I think they knew how it was going to turn out, so they just kind of
yeah,
they went all in.
exactly.
If you're
But
gonna make a terrible movie, might as well not be conscious enough to realize what you're doing.
I'd be curious to know what their alcohol bill was for that entire movie. Did they get paid more than they spent in alcohol to stay drunk enough to be able to make that movie?
Shoot, if I was like signing a contract, it'd be in my contract. Like, I need this much alcohol per day per scene delivered to me.
On the verge of just tumbling out of his director's chair.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to From the Ashes podcast. Today, we are going to be going over our favorite bad movies as we talk about movies that are so bad, they're good. And with me today, as always, is my partner in crime, my ride and die, my co-host, Arson. What's up, brother? Tell me more.
Hello.
Hello. Wait, we're starting? That was last week. I also I also have with me the skinless one, Zombie, formerly known as Zombie, now known as the Baron one, Bones Baron. What's up, brother?
Oh, I had to peel off some flesh earlier. It's starting to grow back.
Ah, nice. And then finally, we've got Arson's biggest fear, Ocean. What's up, Ocean?
Meow.
Wow.
Nice.
Alrighty. Well, what do you guys think of this topic today?
I think it's going to be bad.
I think it's going to be horrible. Gosh, some of these movies, as I was like trying to remember some stuff of movies, from my childhood and throughout, the life that I have lived. And man, remembering some movies that were just so freaking awful that they just became funny, or they're iconic because they are like so bad. It's I think it's gonna be a fun one. So I kind of want to start things off by handing it to Zombie and letting him go first, because he's got one that unless he's gonna save it for the end, but he's got one that almost tops any movie I've ever watched before that he brought to me. So a little backstory on this one, if it's the one you're gonna do, okay? Are you gonna? Okay, so
It is.
a little backstory on this one. Oh, a couple years ago, we were doing watching movies in my Discord, and so we did this like roll of the dice thing to see who chooses, and we did it in order. Like, okay, so I would choose 1 week, Zombie would choose 1 week, and so on and so forth. And then it would just start back from the top when we got there. Well, when it came time for Zombie to choose, he said, "I've got one for us." And I was so like, you gotta be kidding me. You're going to make us watch this? This looks like a pile heaping of crap. And after watching it, though, it was still a pile heaping of crap, but oh my gosh, it was, yeah. So without any further ado, Zombie, tell us what the name of the first movie that you want to talk about is.
So the name of the movie is called Velocipaster. And I remember when I said, hey, we need to watch this movie, because I can't remember if we were doing the rotation or if I just said, hey, at some point we need to watch this movie.
I think it was a little both.
It might have been, but regardless of when or how I brought it to your attention, I didn't know it would be good at all.
Yeah.
I looked at it and I was just saying things, oh my Lord, this is going to be so bad. But in its badness, I thought it was going to be a comedy. Like the whole thing of it's supposed to be, this is supposed to be this serious movie, and it's and you're just like, okay, look, the CG or costume is so bad that it's funny. You're like, it's not meant to be a comedy, but it is.
They're all there like, oh, this is gonna be a dramatic masterpiece. No, it's not.
no, it's not. So, but like right from the get-go, like I'm not really going to spoil for the listener that listens to this. At the very beginning, that scene when he comes out of the church, and of what happens, because you remember what happens, right?
Yes, I can't forget.
Right there. Yes, I mean it's so hard to forget.
Yeah,
is just like you look at that scene and you're just like, that sets it right there. Like they know this is a bad movie.
Yes.
They know and they intend it to be that way.
They were geniuses with that.
For the second one to come out.
Yes, you heard that correctly. There is a sequel being made, and
Pastor 2, Let Us Pray.
Prey, by the way, not Prey.
Yes. And we need to have a movie night and watch the first one and the second one.
Back to back. Absolutely. I agree.
Back to back.
Double feature, baby.
Double feature.
The only thing I wish that even more so with that movie is that it was in the public domain so we could like watch it live on like, Twitch or whatever on YouTube. Like, oh my gosh, do a review of it right then and there. But since it's not public domain, we can't do that. But yeah, one of my favorite parts of that movie, and of course this isn't much of a spoiler, but it sticks out so heavily to me, is how fast they get to China.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like, I'm not going to say or give anything about that, but when you get to that scene, if you do watch that movie, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Like 100%.
It's faster than Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, but yeah, that's yeah. There's nothing else that could be said about that movie that won't give out too much. And I know, granted, it's an older movie. It's it's years old. So, it's not like if we spoil it, it's not a big deal because it's not like it's, oh, do you hear what happened in the Minecraft movie? If we did that, then yeah, we may get a nasty. You can actually count that. I have seen it. I have seen it. So, that being said, I could actually review that. Not review it, but
I've seen it too.
Oh, see, there you go. To be fair, it doesn't stand toe to toe with Velocipaster at all when it comes to that category. It just doesn't. But all right, well, on that note, do you got anything else to say about that, Zombie?
Not really. I mean, it's the iconic So Bad It's Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's at the top of my list.
Oh, I think it's at the top of everybody's list that watch it. Like 100%. So, all right, well, on that note, let's hand it over to Arson and see what he's got for one of his picks. I may have never seen it. It's your turn, buddy. Your turn.
Well, to be fair, I am going to contribute literally nothing.
Are you serious?
But I am going to pick from a list here of very curated, terrible movies, handpicked by the biggest experts in the field. So I don't have to physically cringe at it, but they had to. And
so
I get
IMDb?
to reap the rewards of their hard work.
IMDb?
Yes.
Oh, come on. You got to have a movie somewhere up in that head of yours that you've watched that was just like, oh my gosh.
You want to count the Super Mario Bros. Movie?
Absolutely.
We already talked about that one.
Absolutely.
Which one?
The original.
Well, technically, yeah, the original from the 90s.
I was like, okay. I was like, because there's been
Well,
two.
Yeah.
okay. We have talked about it probably on like a few episodes, but we really talked about it in the missing episode, never going to ever be seen again. Mario versus Sonic episode that me, Grim, and Pack did.
Ah. Yeah. Oh, I
And
still need to
but
post
not
that to the website.
well, I mean, it's also the case if you want to upload it because it was before we went into that 3-month contract now turned into lifelong contract. So,
Yeah. Well,
but yeah, we talked about that. But to recap a bit, Mario and Luigi are not related. The Goombas, Bowser, like I don't, I don't know, man.
I heard that there was a different script for that movie that made it a lot more interesting. That
Yeah.
like Bowser was only supposed to be taking human form for first like act or two in the movie, and then he was gonna go back to his regular form, and then they were gonna have like all kinds of different stuff. Like Luigi actually got the Tanuki suit, and or not,
I
you know.
didn't. I do not need to see the Tanuki suit in live action. That would have made it worse.
That would have been like absolute. It would have cemented. It's
What?
like
Why not
horribly
the
bad.
Why not the cape feather, the fire flower? No, let's just pick the one that turns you into a furry.
Maybe it's easier because you just like. Could you imagine the suit for that for real?
I don't even want to know if it was actually made
Oh gosh,
for the movie. Like
yeah.
it was like already part of the script. Like they made the suit, and then the director's like, "No, wait, stop! We have another idea. There's another way. We don't have to go down this route." Honestly, though, I am curious as to how the timeline would have shaped out if that decision went through.
Yeah. Well, also another thing is that they said John Leguizamo and Bill Hoskins or Bob Hoskins like hated the script so much that they basically got through the movie drunk.
That wouldn't surprise me.
They said that someone said that like because it was funny that I just seen this like yesterday, like in one of those clips, and it was basically talking about how they stayed drunk for most of the time they shot their parts. Like
I think they knew how it was going to turn out, so they just kind of
yeah,
they went all in.
exactly. But
If you make a terrible movie, might as well not be conscious enough to realize what you're doing.
I'd be curious to know what their alcohol bill was for that entire movie. Did they get paid more than they spent in alcohol to stay drunk enough to be able to make that movie?
Shoot, if I was like signing a contract, it'd be in my contract. Like, I need this much alcohol per day per scene delivered to me.
On the verge of just tumbling out of his director's chair.
Yeah. I also heard they were gonna have Martin Scorsese. No, I'm just kidding. That's a bold-faced lie. Oh gosh, but yeah, that right there was that one.
It's still bad, but
It is extremely bad. Like, but it's been so long since I've watched it. I do know there's some pretty funny scenes in there because of how bad it is. So I agree with you.
One of the only things I really remember is when Bowser like pulls out the de-evolution ray.
Oh yeah.
And he shoots that guy and he turns into a chimpanzee or something and Bowser's like monkey.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's freaking hilarious. But yeah.
Yeah, it was so bad that we literally got nothing else for years, and then finally we were graced with an actually good Mario movie.
They were so afraid anybody to take up that mantle of doing a Mario movie because of that movie. Like, who wouldn't be like, oh gosh.
Well, I don't know. Did they hear about the director and some of the others who were just drunk off their minds? Filming? That probably would have instilled a bit more confidence. Maybe somebody actually level-headed directing it.
Well, when you're
animating it,
when two of your top build stars in the movie are drunk constantly, like maybe that was their norm. They just didn't know anything other than that, like all the crew and
They needed that
everything.
to get in the character.
Yeah.
Like one day they show up slightly not drunk. They're like, "Are you okay?"
What's going on with
I'm
you?
Mario.
Like, hold on, I gotta go to my trailer. I'll be right back in about, give me 10 minutes. Whatever you did, that's so much better. You're back to normal. Okay. He's got an empty bottle of a fifth of Jack Daniels. Like, okay, we're good to go. Oh my gosh. Like, yeah, that movie was absolutely horrible, but it did make up for some beautiful memes, right? Right, Arson?
Oh, absolutely.
It's all about the memes.
It's all about the memes.
Oh
I thought it was all
gosh.
about the Pentiums.
I thought it was all about the game. Wait a minute. Sorry,
It's
that's
all
wrestling.
about the love of the game.
For the love of the game.
What game?
Life.
Hot potato.
I Game of Life, man. I mean, it's an 18-year tutorial. I mean,
Yeah,
there's no DLC. There's no saves. There's no loads.
It ends. That's all that matters.
There's no respawn.
it's a constant money cash grab.
Yeah, I mean, it's
You can respawn. You just got to find the mythical one-up mushroom somewhere in the world. There's only one in existence, and it spawns every 100 years. So only one person each like generation, or just has to go find it. But nobody's found it yet. So I mean,
well, and probably the person that finds it is going to smoke it instead of, they're going to
That's
take
true.
it. So
I don't know how that would work since it's never been found. So nobody's really ever tested how it would actually affect you the way you ingest it. I don't know.
Or maybe it was found and it was smoked already. And we're just all screwed. I don't know. But
I
all
just
right.
gotta wait another 100 years.
anyway,
So do you have anything else to add to this fabulously bad movie?
Monkey.
I feel like that's going to end the episode. So, all right. Even if it wasn't, they're like, it is now.
it is now.
All right, Ocean. It looks like you're up, buddy. I know you did the homework because you were saying last night during the stream, you're like, oh yeah, that whole topic, I know all about it. I've got all the movies picked out and ready to go. Or did I dream that? Did I dream that?
So pretty bad movie that almost makes it good just because of how ridiculous it is the Batman and Robin movie with George Clooney.
Bat nipples.
Bat
The
nipples.
bat nipples.
It's so bad, but it's one big meme, mostly because of Arnold.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Don't forget Bane. Like,
Dude, the Bane went from crack addict to muscle man and then went back.
yeah. It's like, I need more.
Yeah, not even he doesn't even start off as like normal sized human being.
I don't know what Joel Schumacher was thinking when making those two movies. Like, it started off, look, okay, like after Batman Returns, we had this possibility to have another great Batman movie. And to be fair, Batman Forever was not bad. Rest in peace, Val Kilmer. He did a good job. I think he did with filling in for the shoes for, Michael Keaton, he did a heck of a job. And then you got like Jim Carrey and everybody else that was in that movie. It was just not bad, but you could see the campiness that was ensuing. It's like he was trying to make it like a mixture of Batman 89 and Batman 66. Like, what are you doing? Like, seriously. And then here comes Batman and Robin, the gem of the collection.
I just like to point out they doomed that script as soon as they casted George Clooney as Batman.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, that script was so bad that they could have put anybody in that role and it would have been the same.
I am not disagreeing that the script overall wasn't bad, but who chooses George Clooney as Batman?
Who chooses Michael Keaton, Mr. Mom, as Batman? Maybe they were thinking that they were going to strike fire twice. They were wrong, but
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like that's like with when you cast when they first cast Heath Ledger as the Joker, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I don't see this guy as a good Joker. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, there's no way. Like, no. And then I watched it and I was like, he was brilliant. Like, the best portrayal of the Joker I've ever seen before and to now. Jack Nicholson has nothing on Heath Ledger. And I know that may chap a lot of people's butts, but all I'm saying is, do what?
Very colorful wording.
Thank you. But the thing is, his portrayal, like, okay, so like the Nolan universe was more like what would the Batman be like in a real world setting? You know, it's not like it's all campy and cartoony. This is like what would happen in a real life setting. How would you portray these characters? And that's exactly how I took it. And man, the scene when he's walking out of the hospital with the switch to blow up the hospital, and he's like walking out and he's like tapping it like, what the heck? Why isn't this working? And then all of a sudden it blows up and he's like, oh, okay, it just walks off. Like those scenes like that were just so brilliantly done. That'll never be topped in my eyes. There's gotta like, and the Jared Leto or Leto or whatever, however you want to pronounce his last name, was just garbage. And we talked about that the other day. So it's just horrible. Like, yeah. But going back to Batman and Robin, the script was bad. The way they introduced Batgirl was horrible. Like, it was just all around horrible. Bat nipples, bat credit card, you know, we got all this stuff. And Arnold, really cold. It was the Terminator freeze. And, you know, it was just horrible. But going back to what you were saying, Ocean, go ahead and keep on with the movie. Sorry, I went on my little tirade there, but that movie kind of sets me off sometimes. If you're wanting to talk more about it.
I don't know. I feel like it's all pretty well covered.
Yeah,
Well,
like you pretty much covered a lot of it.
Well, let's add on by doing this. What is it with, you know, DC that their fourth installment's just super bad? Do you see where I'm going with this?
Oh, of course. I know what you're talking about. Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, no. Actually, to be fair, I kind of like Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, I know you already said it back in the freaking Batman episode. Relax. I don't need that call back.
But okay, so Superman 4 Quest for Peace was just a complete pile of heaping garbage. Like, just horrible. I heard so many different things about the original script for that. It was supposed to be like well, they were supposed to have Bizarro in it or whatever. It was a mixture of, but that's like in the third one, it was supposed to be, which the third one is part of the reason why the series started to die off, because it got bad, so bad. They didn't even have Lois in it because they felt like that Lois's storyline was done with Superman, which is never the case. You can't have Lois without Superman, and Superman is always going to be part of Lois's life. You know, and so you're always going to have those two. I mean, in some continuities, Superman turns into the biggest freaking butthead, like the evildoer, because of Lois's demise. And everybody knows what I'm saying about that. What, you know, Injustice.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, shut up. Yes, you do. But anyways, so I'm not really going to talk about Quest for Peace because it's not like it's one of those movies that was so bad it's good. It was just so bad, and that's it. Like,
it was just so bad.
Just so bad. Gene Hackman couldn't save that movie. Christopher Reeve couldn't save that movie. God himself could not come down and save that movie. Well, I take that back. He probably could, but I'm just saying, that's how bad
He
it
would
was.
save it. He would save it by making it not exist.
Exactly. Please clear that from everybody's minds.
Everybody's. Just kind of like a Thanos snap, just gone.
Yeah. So
And people are like, what did he just do? Was there some movie that he fixed? I don't know what you're talking about.
I wonder where they're going to do Superman 4. Oh, I don't know. I think Superman 3 was bad enough. We don't need another Superman. No, like, oh, okay. That's just the way it's going to end. Like, oh, I wish it was like that because that movie was just so bad. Oh, what was the guy's name? The bad guys? It was like Atomic Man or something like that. Like, yeah.
I don't even know.
I think it was like Atomic Man. I could be wrong, but yeah, he was supposed to be like a clone of Superman somewhat. But anyways, or I can't remember how they did it. But I try to get that out of my mind. But yeah, Batman and Robin to me was in the same sense. Like, it wasn't to me so bad it was good. It was just in the same wavelength as Superman 4. And there may have been some funny parts about it that made it watchable. But it's like you said, it's really is all about the memes with that movie. Like every ounce of that movie is being made fun of. Like there's no anybody out there be like, man, that was such a classic masterpiece. It was so good. Like, shut
Cinema.
up. Oh gosh, it was bad. All right, so moving on from there, I am going to give you. I'm not going to come out swinging like Zhombi did because Zhombi came out swinging pretty hard with that first one, which I loved. Did you guys ever see the movie? And Zhombi knows what I was going to choose because I told him beforehand. The first one. Did you guys ever see the movie rendition of Double Dragon?
No.
Don't even know what that is.
Wait, you know what Double Dragon is though?
Sure.
Two brothers, one in blue and one in red, side-scrolling, fighting all across, on Nintendo and whatnot.
Oh, I sure do know what you're talking about. That's
All right.
totally not before I was alive.
Well, it was 1994 when the movie was released, so
I still wasn't alive.
I know.
I gotta crack open my history book. Go back a couple thousand years.
Let me go get a VHS tape real quick.
So
I still have my season 1 to 3 SpongeBob VHS tape somewhere. I'm sure the tale of Dragon whatever is there somewhere. Let me just go look for it.
You're such a gamer and you don't know what Double Dragon is, like for real. you can't be messing with me with this, right? You seriously don't know what Double Dragon is?
It's 30 years old. Why are we expected to know this?
You know Mario.
How do we tell them?
and Mario's mainstream.
Roadhouse.
Double Dragon.
Oh, you just broke the contract.
Look, that's just how ridiculous it is. You got him so like stooped out that like he broke the contract out of like there's a reason like we know Mario obviously it's because he's literally Mr. Video Game.
Well, yeah, but Double Dragon was on that same premise for a while. Like it was such a popular thing, and
he kind of died out by the time we were alive.
Yeah,
well,
Blockbuster used to be mainstream too. It's dead. We don't know what it is.
All right. Anyways, Double Dragon was a movie about two brothers, and they each have a half a power of an ancient Chinese talisman, basically. And there was this like gang leader that like was. Do you know who Robert Patrick is?
Yeah, the Terminator.
Yeah, the T-1000 or T-2000 or whatever it is.
He's the T-1000.
Yeah.
I never heard of a T-2000.
T-1000. Sorry. He's the T-1500. No. But he was the evil leader of this gang, and he's trying to get, the talisman back together so he can have like full power over everything, basically. The only reason I watched this, so one of the main two stars, the brothers, his name is Scott Wolf. he was in a TV show called Party of Five. And I think it was around that time that this movie was made too. But the reason I watched it was for Alyssa Milano, because Alyssa Milano was in this, and she was hot, you know, back then. She was wearing like skimpy clothes throughout the whole movie, basically, and just really hot. So I enjoyed it because of that. But the movie was so campy. You gotta think on the level of Mario Brothers. Because, you know, it was around the same time. I think it was done in like early 90s, what I say, 94. Yeah. So it was a bad movie. Like, it was absolutely bad, but there were some scenes in it that made it really funny. And since you guys don't know what this movie is, I don't expect you. And I know Zombie said he never seen it. He told me that earlier.
Well, yeah, but I know what Double Dragon is.
Yeah. It's because you're old like me.
Yeah.
So hold on, Zombie hasn't even seen it, barely knows what it is, but you expected a couple of 20-year-olds to know what it is.
Hold on. First of all, I expected Arson to know what it was, mainly because of his gaming knowledge. And not only that, but it wasn't about me introducing a movie to you guys that you knew what it was. It was more about me talking about movies that are so bad that they could be good. And
I think you're putting me on way too high of a pedestal when it comes to that.
apparently I
Dude,
was.
I know nothing. I barely even know my own address sometimes.
I really did think that you would have not known at least what it was, or at least the game. Like, Double Dragon was such a fun game. It was 2 players, you know, one control one brother, the other. It was like a huge arcade hit back in the day.
I wish I do, but like to put it to some perspective, I went on my whole, you know, little gaming journey alone. There was no like, you know, there was no freaking like expert or, you know, other person that played games that I could have like learned from or watched play. I had to do all this on my own, man. I got no knowledge. Only the
fair
knowledge
enough.
of what I went through.
Well, I'll leave this at that. That, you know, you guys just take my word for it, that it was a super, like, you could tell it was like low budget, but they tried to make it not. and it was like, to that point, you know, like, you think they're making a video game movie. Like, what was it? One of the podcast ideas was movies made from video games. And this is one of the ones I was going to bring up with that, but I don't think we ever did it that I know of. I wasn't there, so it didn't happen. But there's only one podcast I've never been a part of, and I was still there. So, well, even the one where Lube took over, I was still there at the beginning, at the end. But yeah, Double Dragon is just one of those movies that from start to finish, it's just really bad writing, just bad visual effects. You know, just everything in general is just horrible about it. And one of the guys, what was it? It was the muscle bound dude. I can't think of his name.
Hank.
Hold on, it'll come to me.
His name is definitely Hank Schrader.
Bobo or whatever. It was a Bobo or whatever. It was one of the main like mutant villains in the movie, and it shows how he actually got it and there. And it was bad. His whole makeup was horrible. They used 2 separate guys for it too, for what I understand. But anyways, yeah. Look, late 80s, early 90s was a plethora of horrible movies, and this is one of them. But like I said, it's okay in my eyes because first, it's nostalgia. Second, Alyssa Milano, no matter what she's become nowadays. But between those 2 things and just some of the scenes that were so bad they were funny, it turns it to make it like a good movie to me. So that's my first pick. And now to stop talking about this, we're gonna go back to Zombie. So Zombie.
Okay, so my next one is, it's a movie called Night of the Living Dead, Rave to the Grave.
Oh yeah, we've talked about this one too.
Yes, we have. This movie, so, I'm going to date myself again. I was it Family Video or Block? I can't remember. I was running a VHS tape.
Mm-hmm.
And I was with a friend. He had come over and we were going to hang out for a bit. Plans fell through. So I'm like, well, let's, watch a movie, order a pizza, just kind of hang out for the evening type of thing. So that way you didn't waste your time coming down here. So we're walking through and I'm like, hey, what about this one? And I pick up, Night of the Living Dead, Rave to the Grave in the new release section. And he looks at it and he goes, I'm calling this now. The movie's going to end and there's going to be a zombie walking down the road with the sign, hitchhiking. And sure as crap, he was right. Movie ended. There's a zombie hitchhiking down the road that says rave or bust. Or something to that extent. This movie is so bad that, like, the basic premise is they find this sealed canister and make a drug out of the juices of this zombie. And think nothing could go wrong. Like, you find this steel drum, the sealed military-grade steel drum. You pry it open, you find a corpse inside, and there's juices. And you decide, hey, if we make a drug off of this, we can make some money. How could that not go wrong?
I feel like it would go perfect, especially the way I lead my life. I think the way my life is going, it couldn't get any worse. No, I'm just kidding.
So, it was fundamentally just a really bad movie.
Yeah. Well, I meant to add that to my list back when we talked about it the first time in the zombie episode. And I never have, and I've never watched it. So I remember seeing that trailer or whatever that we watched. But other than that, I have not. I remember the drum in there, like they showed it in the trailer, like the drum being popped open or whatever, and it looked horribly bad, like horribly bad. But you're telling me that it was so bad that you liked it.
I liked it, and it was just like you're watching parts and you're like, nobody is that stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I get you need to suspend some disbelief for a movie and stuff like that, sometimes, but I can't suspend that much disbelief. It's not possible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that looks like that would be one of those type of movies. Absolutely. Has anybody got anything on that one that they want to talk about, or anything else you want to add to that, Bones?
I'm good.
All right, well, let's move on to Arson. Arson, you got a second one for us?
I gotta shout out Raven here, but yeah, Big Trouble in
Don't
China.
you dare!
Now, hold on, I'm gonna stop you right there. This is my movie pick. This is what you wanted. I'm giving you exactly what you want. So sit down.
It wasn't bad. It was great. It's a classic.
It was
Honestly, yeah. From what I remember, yeah, there were some parts where it was pretty cool, and then other parts where it was just like, What?
Okay,
Why?
Why?
the guy expanding and blowing up. That was
Yeah,
pretty.
that's like one of the most memorable. Like that's the only thing I actually remember from the movie. Everything else was a blur because it was just a roller coaster of how insane it was.
It
Ugh.
looks like they combined a stereotypical like kung fu movie with like some weird mythology movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they took that and they dialed it up to 11.
Just 11?
Those were like 55,672. But yeah.
They broke the crank.
All right, so tell me if that's the only thing you can remember. Look, to me, Big Trouble in Little China, you've got some really good key elements. The director is a huge horror guy. And then you've got your main star, who is one of the biggest stars in the 80s and part of the 90s. And then you add in like the aspect of like Asian culture and Raiden from Mortal Kombat. No, but I really love that movie. Like, to me, it's like one of the top notch guy movies. You know what I mean? Like when you mention guy movies, and you guys know exactly what I mean. Big Trouble in Little China is up there. It'll always be up there. So yeah. I just can never see that as a bad movie or so bad that it was good. But Raven decided to pick his nose into something where he doesn't belong because he is a mod or an admin and he can do whatever he wants, apparently. Posts in the podcast text channel that this movie is horrible. Like, really? And then we have Arson entertaining his thoughts. So,
I agreed.
you agree with him about that movie?
That movie is so campy. Oh my lord. Like, it's like you look at it and like, okay, like I when I watched it, granted it's been a while, I'm like, okay, I understand this is gonna be a bit campy. It's a kung fu movie, and you're looking at it and you're like, you just know this is gonna be a campy movie. Now, I obviously like campy movies.
Yes.
I watch Monty Python.
Yeah.
Kind of goes with the territory. But watching that movie, you're just like, what the beep?
Yeah, we can't have two of those in one episode.
Yeah, I've been trying to censor myself a couple times. I'm sure you've noticed.
Yeah.
So you're just like, really? Like you said, they said, okay, the acceptable campy levels are about here, and let's notch it up just a little bit, and then they slipped, and they just like a big steering wheel on a ship. They just grabbed it and yanked it to one side as hard as it could, and just watched it spin.
But the cool thing,
and they're just like, well, it's there now.
The cool thing about that movie is how serious the overtone is at the beginning, and throughout the whole movie, that movie does hold a serious overtone. However, you do get to a certain point to where that does ensue a little bit, and then it does grow. You're not wrong. It does grow, up to the point into the ending of the movie when he's driving away. That big old freaking monster's on the back of his rig. To every bit of that, like it turns into like a huge monster movie compared to what it was, what you thought it was going to be. But John Carpenter had a way of doing stuff like that anyways. But you never think that you'd see Kurt Russell in something like that. And then you watch like movies like Sky High and you're like, well, never mind.
Scratch that.
Yeah, he did that. So if he can do that, he can do anything. but yeah, I don't know. What were you going to say, Ocean, about it?
Huh?
I thought you were going to say something.
Oh.
No. So, all right. With that being said, I don't know if I wholly agree that it's so bad that it's good. I just think it's maybe it's because of me. I just think it's an overall good movie. You know, it has every little aspect of what you want in a movie for me. You know, and I don't know, Big Trouble in Little China was just a classic. And it always will be. And the thoughts that they were like in the last 10 years they've been talking about remaking it and having The Rock as Kurt Russell's character and then they talked about it again to where they're reprising the role and having Kurt Russell come back as his main character. And it's just like, oh man, like just leave it alone. It doesn't you want to talk about a movie that's just going to be bad, it'll probably be something like that. So, you know. All right, Ocean, you're up.
Green Lantern from 2011, Ryan Reynolds.
I mean, you're not wrong.
The movie's so bad, it's just funny. There's not a serious part of it.
They screwed up the whole thing. Like,
yeah.
Like when the main villain is, I don't even want to talk about that because it should be laid to rest. Okay. So I went to see that in theaters when it first came out because everybody that knows me knows I'm a huge Green Lantern fan, like huge. But much like the Mario Brothers movie, that was such a disaster that no one wanted to touch a Green Lantern, like movie-esque type of movie until that stupid James Gunn that decided to wreck everybody's DC universe and bring in this stupid Superman that's coming in. And then you bring in the one guy everybody wants as Hal Jordan Green Lantern and you make him somebody else. Granted, it's a Green Lantern, but it's the one that everybody hates. So, yay, good job there, buddy. But going back to that, I'll have to say, to a certain extent, I enjoyed that movie. Like, it was exciting because, you know, of all the stuff that they had in there. But then when they screwed up completely they dropped the ball with, like, instead of, you know, they could have made a really, really good movie and then had like 2 or 3 sequels to it and really drawn out, having Parallax as your bad guy. And everybody knows in the comic books, Parallax is not the way he was like perceived in the movie. He is an entity or a whatchamacallit. He basically took over the body of Hal Jordan because of all the grief that happened. Because they could have showed that in the movie. They could have showed that he literally, like, something happened that Coast City got completely destroyed and the grief let this dude in and they thought he went crazy, but it wasn't him. It was Parallax taking over his body and he was going around killing all the Green Lanterns and he had a really good redemption story. I mean, granted, he died to get that redemption story and the rebirth happened and all that stuff, but still it was good. You know, they brought him back and he became the Spectre, you know, in the comics and stuff like that. They could have played off that so big in the movies. Like if they would have had some sort of, you know, DC EU, you know what I mean? But no, they dropped the ball on that one big time. And Ocean, you're not wrong. I do enjoy some aspects of that movie. I think it's parts of it is just hilariously bad. But yeah, I haven't seen that in probably 8 years, maybe longer. So what do you guys think of that movie? Talk amongst yourselves.
I think that I don't need to say any more. I mean, it's been said that,
Yep.
you know, it's such a bad movie. I mean, I don't know what else, like I said, what else is there to say that hasn't been said?
I mean, you're not wrong. Sorry, I get a little talkative and defensive about stuff. and then I just like completely,
really?
yeah.
Could have fooled us.
I was like, I never would have guessed that.
There are so many movies that I can talk about when it comes to bad movies that are good, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. You know, Turtles in Time. That was a bad movie.
Lord.
That was so bad it was good.
I had forgotten about that one.
Yeah, and so is everybody else. But there's other movies too. Like so many, and we're running almost about an hour. So I wanna kind of start to wrap this up. So, I'm gonna do my final movie, and then I want you guys to kind of like maybe bring up a movie that maybe we should watch or that is, just in short. Okay. So in this next movie, because I wasn't even going to choose this movie, but I'm looking through a list kind of like what Arson was doing. And I came across the movie that I actually have. We had it on cassette tape as a kid, and it was 1986, and it has Drew Barrymore and Keanu Reeves in it. Okay. You would think having a movie with Keanu Reeves and Drew Barrymore would be like amazing. And I'm going to read the tagline for you. And it says, a young girl wakes up in the realm of where they are, where she teams up with her family and friends to overthrow an evil villain. And the evil villain's name is Barnaby. And the movie is a remake, and it was a TV movie, but it was a movie, 1986, and it's called Babes in Toyland. And you talk about a movie that is enjoyable to watch, but just also hard to watch because it's really bad. And especially when you see, because basically Keanu Reeves is, if I'm not mistaken correctly, is the boyfriend of Drew Barrymore's sister, I think. Or it could be back the other way. I can't 100% remember. But it also has, I forgot about Pat Morita, and he plays the toy maker. Like Richard Mulligan is Barnaby, which if you don't know who Richard Mulligan is, there was a spinoff of the Golden Girls, and it was a very popular show. And if you don't know who he is, maybe you'll remember that show. And it was called well, he was actually also on Soap too, but it was called Empty Nest. So but also that was also in he did this after Empty Nest, he did after Babes in Toyland. But okay, so I don't expect Arson or Ocean to ever have seen this movie.
I don't expect you to understand.
But I would love to hear if actually Zhombi did watch this movie. Have you ever seen that movie?
Nope.
So it's even funnier because in this movie, at the beginning scene, they have a song because it's a musical. Why not, right? And I love Keanu Reeves. Don't get me wrong. He is such a great actor. He's such a good guy. Just all around good guy. But in this movie, they're driving home from the store, and this is what happens. They end up in a wreck, and it was storming real bad. But they have a song in this in the movie, and it's literally about where they're from. They're from Cincinnati, and it's like Cincinnati, Cincinnati, the greatest town in Ohio, or something like that. It's bad. Like the whole movie is just like horribly good. It's a lot of nostalgia again for me. And when I was a kid, I think I actually did like it because, I mean, I was 9 years old when it came out. So it was like, yeah, it's a good movie. And the more and more you watch it as you grow up, it's bad. It really is, but it's an enjoyable bad. So that is my number one, maybe not number one, because I also have movies like Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck is another one that is horribly good. And you get to see some duck boobs. No, I'm kidding. No, not kidding, but you really do. But that was part of the really bad part. So anyways, so yeah, Babes in Toyland is my choice. I've got so many more, but if we did, we'd have to make this like a 15-part series. So, all right, we're gonna do one more rundown, and if you have one more that you want to throw out there real quick, like an honorable mention, go for it. Bones.
So just real quickly, I'm just going to mention Space Truckers.
Okay.
Just, oh my lord, I don't know what to say. It's exactly what you think.
Space Truckers. I've never
Space
heard of
Truckers.
that I know of.
It's about truckers in space, and
No kidding?
yeah.
Well.
Yep, and that's
All right, Arson, what about you? You got one more for us that just like some obscure thing that you think is just the same? I don't think he does. He's not talking. Arson, are you okay?
I'm trying to remember.
Oh,
It was
okay.
like it's just such a long time
scrolling.
ago. Because no, the thing is, no, I actually I know I said I brought up the freaking list, and I did, but since you wanted something legit, then then yeah, I said Super Mario Bros. And then later on I shouted out Raven, which I did watch. Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
That was like when I was young. That's the thing though. I watched so many like different movies because with my dad when I was younger. But like since it was like when I was young, I don't remember much of them, and I know some of them were bad. I just can't remember I can't remember them, or I can't remember what the titles are.
There's so many.
Yeah, I'm just kind of sitting here twiddling my thumbs trying to remember of a movie, but like it's. I'll get back to you. I'll see if I can just skip to the next guy.
All right, well, I'll throw another one out there just in passing, but if you haven't seen Garbage Pail Kids, the movie, that's another one. Anyways, Ocean.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yes.
All right. Battlefield Earth from 2000.
That was
Yeah.
so bad. What was John Travolta thinking?
I don't know.
Maybe he was
should've
also
had questions
under
as
the
soon as I gave
influence.
him braids.
Maybe he was completely hammered throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, maybe he was, taking a sip of the bottle.
Oh gosh, that's a bad one. Okay, yeah, hey, that's a good choice, but just a bad one. All right, I'll go ahead and throw my last one out there, and then I'll go back to Arson and see if he's got it yet. However, I have been throwing these out there left and right, but I was hoping Zhombi was going to bring up this last one without actually, but he didn't, rather. But Zhombi and I just watched this little movie short, and it is absolutely horribly good. And it's called The Legend of Long Ball Larry and Short Dick Daryl. Now, the guy's name is Dick Daryl, basically. And then you got Larry, and they're basically, the premise of this movie is that they
the bounty hunters going after a guy called Dick Chapman.
Yeah. And why has he won it?
Because that's what he does. He takes after his name.
Yeah, he chops. Yeah. So, anyways, he it's so disgusting too what he does with them, but the premise of the movie is exactly. I'm going to read it exactly the way it is, and it says, "Long Ball Larry with his 30-foot nutsack that he uses to lasso up bad guys, and Short Dick Daryl with his 2-inch chode have to capture the villainous Dick Chapman. Won it for cutting off the wee-wees of every man in the El Paso area," basically is what that says. So it is bad, but there are some really funny scenes in it. But it's only like 11 to 13 minutes long, so it's not very big. Much like our hero. But yeah. So that's what I'm gonna throw out there because Zhombi didn't do it. And we'll end that, and I'll go back to Arson for the last say. Go ahead, Arson.
The live action Garfield movie.
Wait, you didn't like that?
Dude, I don't even remember much of it, but I could tell Well, it's just one of those things that I think that's probably where I got it, where I really don't know how to feel about things that are originally animated being
Yeah.
live action.
Yeah.
Only on
Oh,
the rarest occasions do they really pull it off, but like Garfield was not one of them.
yeah. Well, I think the sequel was a lot worse than the first one.
Although, yeah, some of the antics are pretty great, but
Yeah.
all in all, it was just not.
I just love that Bill Murray is, voice of Garfield. I love that.
A very entertaining movie,
Yeah.
but not something to get up from your theater chair and scream at the high heavens.
Man, some of these movies on this list are like, you could tell they're late 80s, early 90s movies. Like there's one that says Tammy and the T-Rex. Like, what? Ones I was gonna mention also, but I guess I can because we're still under the hour from another 10 seconds. So the Star Wars Holiday Special. I know it's a TV movie basically, so it counts. And finally, the Masters of the Universe movie from 1987 with Dolph Lundgren. That was a movie that was so bad that it was good, and I went to see that in theaters. It was just oof. I loved it as a kid, but as you grow up and watch things, obviously your things change, your opinion changes. But it's always going to be a classic to me because I love it. And it also had what's her name? Courtney Cox in it. So yeah, a young Courtney Cox and Billy Barty. But anyways, that being said, I guess we're done with this episode for now. Maybe we'll have to revisit this down the road and do a part 2 to this, because maybe get Grim in here and have his intake on some of his choices, because I bet he does have some pretty good choices.
It'd be funny if you had freaking powers like that. Just drag him into the call all of a sudden. He's like, where am I?
Oh my gosh. Like, he's not even on his headset, and all of a sudden I pull him in and all of a sudden headset appears on his, well, what?
So Grim, what's a movie that's so bad that it's good to you?
The funny thing is he probably wouldn't even blink. He'd be like, well,
Yeah, no, he would just immediately shove it to the side and be like, well, actually, and then go on like a 15-minute rant.
You're not wrong.
You're absolutely right. Like, because that's what he does.
Him the longest.
I know. Yeah, we've only known him since November, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. So, oh gosh, he's a good dude.
We
though.
we love our Grim rants.
Just don't tell him we said that, okay?
Yep. This is between us and the listener.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
listener.
So Grim's grandma, if you hear this, don't tell him, okay? It's a secret. We like him, but it's only in secret. So
Otherwise, we'd have to give him an increase in pay.
yeah, I would double his pay, but he's not worth it yet. No, I'm kidding. But on that note, guys, we're gonna call it here, and we will see you next week when we talk about even stupider things and try to grab the attention of everybody.
A second listener.
Yes, we need our second listener so we can start making that merch. We've been teasing the merch for ever.
A year and a half now.
Yeah. So once we get that extra listener, we can start doing the merch, and then Arson can just have joygasms all the time because he's ready for the merch. He's ready for the pillow, the full Arson body pillow.
Oh no!
But on that note, guys, if you enjoyed listening to this, drop us a follow on anything what you're watching or listening on, whether it be from a podcast standpoint or if you're on YouTube listening to this. Drop us a sub, a follow. They're free to give, so it's always nice to have people. If you have a certain movie that you think is just so horrible that it's good, pop it up and put it into the chat. Maybe go to the IMDb page and go the extra mile and post it in there so we can get a look at it and see. Maybe you or your movie can make our next podcast about this. That'd be nice. But if you guys want to know more about us, We have our link in the description, yada, yada, yada. You all know the routine. So on that note, I hope you guys I hope you had a wonderful Easter, and we'll see you next week.
Monkey.